The sun blazed mercilessly over the vast, dry expanse of the central Mexican plateau. For generations, the Mexica people ancestors of the mighty Aztec had wandered this land, driven by a prophecy whispered by their gods. But their journey did not start here, under the harsh sun. It began far away, in a place wrapped in legend and mist, a homeland so elusive it had become more myth than memory. Aztlan. Imagine a paradise, an island resting in the middle of a great lake. Its shores were alive with reeds swaying gently in the breeze, their roots weaving a floating garden that thrived on the water. Towering jade-green mountains stood like silent guardians around the lake, cradling this peaceful sanctuary. This was Aztlan, the ancestral home of the Mexica, place of harmony where people lived simply and closely with nature. Their days were filled with fishing, farming, and crafting delicate featherwork that mirrored the brilliant colors of the exotic birds that flew overhead. Children's laughter echoed through the air, and the steady rhythm of pounding maize marked the passage of time. But paradise, as history often shows, is fragile. A prophecy began to stir among the Mexica, passed down through generations. It spoke of a divine command from their patron god, Huitzilopochtli, hummingbird wizard. This god promised them greatness, but demanded a painful price. They must leave their beloved island. The elders, wise and weathered, wrestled with this cruel decree. To leave Aztlan was to cut away a part of themselves, to abandon the roots that held their identity. Yet, to defy Huitzilopochtli was unthinkable. If you're enjoying this story, don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories that bring history's greatest mysteries to life. When the decision came, it was heavy with sorrow. Families packed their few belongings, their hearts weighed down by farewells. They turned their backs on the island as the sun dipped low, painting the sky in gold and crimson final. Bittersweet goodbye to a life they would never reclaim. This was no joyful departure, but a forced exodus, a journey that would shape their very soul. Their pilgrimage was long and grueling. They crossed scorching deserts where the sun burned like a relentless eye, and the wind whispered mournful songs. They climbed towering mountains, gasping for breath in the thin air, their bodies aching with every step. Along the way, they met other tribesome friendly, others hostile, engaging in battles that sharpened their skills and hardened their resolve. Generations passed, each carrying the memory of Aztlan like a flickering flame against the darkness of forgetfulness. At one desperate point, the Mexica found themselves trapped in a barren valley. The land was dry, the game scarce. Hunger gnawed at their children, and despair crept into even the strongest hearts. It was then that a young priestess, barely more than a child herself, fell into a trance. Her voice, usually soft, rang out with a powerful new prophecy. A sign would come to guide, theme a vision of an eagle perched on a prickly pear cactus, devouring a serpent. This vivid image sparked a new hope in their weary souls. Decades turned into centuries. The Mexica, now known as the Aztecs, had transformed from wandering nomads into fierce warriors and skilled strategists. They remained devoted to Huitzilopochtli, their faith unshaken. Though Aztlan had become a distant, almost forgotten dream, they settled near Lake Texcoco, a shimmering body of water that faintly echoed the legends of their homeland. Here, they mastered the art of Chinampas floating gardens that allowed them to grow crops on the water itself, a skill that seemed to carry the spirit of Aztlan forward. Then came the moment that changed everything. After years of serving as mercenaries under the powerful Tepanec Empire, the Aztec spirit was battered but unbroken. One day, a small group of warriors scouting the marshy islands of Lake Texcoco spotted something extraordinary. On a tiny, rocky island, An eagle sat proudly on a nopal cactus, clutching a writhing serpent in its talons. It was the sign. But the island was small, barren, and seemingly inhospitable, a far cry from the lush paradise of Aztlan. The leaders hesitated, doubting the gods' guidance. How could this desolate spot be the promised land? Yet, the people felt a deep, unshakable certainty. This was their destiny. With fierce determination, they began to build. They drove wooden stakes into the muddy lake bed, creating artificial islands. They gathered reeds, stones, and earth, transforming the swamp into a thriving city. This was the birth of Tenochtitlan, the magnificent capital of the Aztec Empire, rising from the waters like a phoenix. In a strange way, it mirrored Aztlan itself, an island city born on water. But the story of Aztlan did not end with Tenochtitlan's rise. As the city flourished, its temples reaching skyward and markets overflowing with goods, the priests began to reshape the legend. Aztlan was no longer just a physical place lost to time. It became a spiritual ideal, a symbol of divine favor and destiny. The journey, the hardships, the prophecy fulfilled in such an unexpected way all were woven into a grand narrative of purpose and greatness. Aztlan became less about a place and more about identity. It was the seed of their empire, proof that they were chosen. The true twist is this: Aztlan was never just a lost city. It was a living myth, a powerful story that carried the Aztecs through hardship and fueled their ambition. It was a story they told themselves to inspire greatness. Perhaps Aztlan was never meant to be found again. Its real power lay in being remembered, a timeless source of identity and destiny for one of Mesoamerica's greatest civilizations. And so, the legend of Aztlan lives on, a testament to the enduring power of myth in shaping history and the human spirit. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories that bring history's greatest mysteries to life.